Let me try again. My connection here is, my internet connection is excellent. But I tried to start a live stream, but it was just closed down. I've never seen it happen that way before. It just shut off. So, yeah, think of that as you will. Let's see if anyone are noticed about this one here. I will ask you to be patient, because if I am shut off again, I think, yeah, as I said, my internet connection here is excellent. It's excellent. But if I am shut off again, I will try my best to restart the live stream. So I will get straight to the point because of the threat of being closed down. So as people, like proper journalists, not the mainstream ones, are reading through the released Epstein files, they are finding disturbing things. Now, obviously, the things that they did to young girls, which I believe they, for that, all of these people, they should be investigated and thrown in jail, and they should throw away the key. But also, what seems to surface here is a 20-year big cough. I'm going to use code words here. Big cough. You remember a few years ago, the big cough? Everyone had to get Billy Bob's snake oil injected. That one. A 20-year big cough preparedness architecture. It's all about channeling money from nations, from states, from economies into private entities, so into the pockets of very rich people. I will go straight to the summary here, and I will get to the chat. This is serious stuff. This is serious stuff. I'll just read it. The link to the article is in the video description. Please go there. Well, you might want to stick around for a little while, hopefully, while we are here talking. But do go to that link and share it. Everyone needs to know this. You might want to share this live stream as well if you like. So, executive summary. And this is from Substack, and the author is someone called Sire G. Maybe that's a code name. I don't know. Executive summary. I will read vaccines as capital strategy. And sorry, I always forget the code names, but I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. I'll just say what it is, and I'll just read it. And if YouTube wants to shut me off and close me down and everything, they can just do that. Go ahead. Vaccines as capital strategy. Internal JP Morgan emails from 2011 show Jeffrey Epstein advising the bank's most senior executives on how to pitch a Gates-anchored donor-advised fund, insisting the presentation include the phrase additional money for vaccines and directing the creation of an offshore arm, especially for vaccines. Pandemics as a funding vertical. A 2017 email thread between Epstein, Gates, and Boris Nikolic names pandemic as a key area for donor-advised fund structures 3 years before COVID-19. Pandemic simulation as career currency. January 2017 iMessage thread from Epstein's phone shows an associate listing pandemics just did pandemic simulation as a professional credential while simultaneously discussing career placement into Gates' private office. And Boris Nikolic, Biomatics Capital, Merck's vaccine team, and Swiss Re's pandemic reinsurance products. Crisis as investable asset. A Gates Foundation briefing describes the Global Health Investment Fund as an impact investment vehicle targeting 5 to 7% returns, targeting 5 to 7% returns on drugs and vaccines, backed by a 60% principal guarantee. Simulation as technical deliverable. A 2017 internal scope document from BGC3 Gates Private Office lists strain pandemic simulation alongside neurotechnology and national defense applications. The Pandemic Preparedness Network, a 2015 Gates Foundation letter, confirms pandemic preparedness coordination with the International Peace Institute, led by Terje Rød-Larsen, a documented Epstein dinner guest, while Epstein separately feeds Rød-Larsen's Gates public pandemic messaging. Terje Rød-Larsen is being practically investigated now in Norway for corruption because of the material that has surfaced. And here in the article, there's the 20-year pandemic preparedness architecture. So it here late 1990s, early 2000s. So there you have the foundations, philanthropy plus global health governance. Post 2008, you have acceleration, financialization, reinsurance, catastrophe logic. 2011 to 2019, you have operationalization with simulation, DAFs, I don't know what that is, and preparedness infrastructure. So you have a system being built before COVID-19. And that in itself there is nothing wrong with that in itself. Let's make that very clear, because with people traveling around the world and all of that, it makes sense to be prepared for something like that. But this is all about how they are planning to monetize a pandemic, to monetize it. That's the problem. It says here also that pandemics and vaccines were treated as standing financial and strategic categories years before any declared pandemic, complete with capital vehicles, legal frameworks, communication strategies, patent portfolios, simulation programs, reinsurance products, and rehearsal events. And also it says here, like, the logic here is, nobody builds a fire station after the fire, that's not, you expect that there will be a fire, and that's, you could say the same about a pandemic. But this is different, because also it says here that this is something closer to a fire station being built beside a factory that stores accelerants owned by the same people who wrote the building code. So you see, it's just too close. I can't prove, and as far as I know, nobody can prove that they made the pandemic happen. But when it happened, or when something happened, it's more correct to say when something happened that they could name or categorize as a pandemic, they had a whole infrastructure ready to monetize it. That's the key takeaway here. And that's, let's keep going here. I'm doing this as quickly as I can. There is a link here to JP Morgan. And yeah, let's keep going. I'm trying to be as quick as I can here. So there is a sentence there, according to the article, the sentence that should stop you cold. So Epstein sent an internal email to Jess Staley with Boris Nikolic, Bill Gates' chief science and technology advisor. Now copied. The email describes the proposed donor-advised fund in more developed terms. Buried in the operational language is a phrase worth reading twice. A silo-based proposal that will get Bill more money for vaccines. A silo-based proposal that will get Bill more money for vaccines. So it's not more research, not emergency capacity, not public health resilience, money for vaccines. So this, as it says here in the article that I have linked in the video description, this is the language of capital formation, not charity. And I will add, this is the language of greed, pure greed. This is the language of greed. They are monetizing people getting sick. And we can discuss all day, of course, how they got sick. Was it from the big cough, or was it from Billy Boy's snake oil? You know? And it just keeps going here. And they are discussing back and forth how to monetize this, how to make more and more and more money. And it says here, let's see, he that being, I lost the context here. Yeah, so donors choose from custom portfolios or predefined silos, a mutual fund concept. The fund would be mostly initially American, but he adds, that's Epstein, he adds, however, we should be ready for an offshore arm, especially for vaccines. He projects billions of dollars in the first 2 years and tens of billions by year 4. The timeline, he says, depends only on JP Morgan's ability to organize legal structure, internet presence, and staffing. The bottleneck is not Gates, it's not the donors, it's a bank's capacity to build what Epstein has already designed. Now, a key name here is Nikolic, Boris Nikolic. He worked first, as I understand, for Bill Gates, and then he was... something happened there, and then he started working for Epstein. So he's a man who makes things happen, apparently. And this is how they set up the whole system globally concerning pandemics, or what they would call pandemics. So whenever there is something that the World Health Organization names a pandemic, now all the countries that has signed, Norway has, I'm Norwegian by the way, sadly Norway also has signed that agreement. They're part of that deal now. They have to buy, the state with taxpayers' money, they have to buy the vaccines that Bill Gates is selling them, basically. And you will be locked in your house, basically, and fired from your job if you're not pulling off your sleeve. So these are devils. These are demons. They don't care about you. They only care about their own greed and their own sick, perverted urges. I mean, how the hell is Bill Gates still walking around as a free man? Get him and put him in jail. Fuck. I'm so annoyed at these people now. It's a it now I did not get the vaccine. But I know people who did and they got sick. Very sick. The obvious thing here, the obvious thing is that when you have money and greed being the main driving force, it's not what is good for you and your health that is the main driving force, because those two things are very different. This is obvious. This live stream here will be demonetized and maybe shut down. I'll get not a copyright strike, but a terms of service strike on my channel or something like that. Maybe that wouldn't surprise me. I'm done not talking about this, and now this is surfacing, and mainstream media will not be talking about this. We need to get this known. We need to make people understand that the next time this happens, they must not listen to these people. So the World Health Organization is deeply corrupt, deeply corrupt. They are in the pocket of Bill Gates. And now we see here that Bill Gates, he was collaborating with Epstein about how to set the whole thing up as a money machine. So there's an email here. The same August 2011 email chain contains another revealing passage. Epstein writing to Erdos, that's another name here, describes Gates' emotional state regarding the pace of the project. And I quote, Bill is terribly frustrated. He would like to boost some of the things that are working without taking away from those that are not. Therefore, explaining that this would allow additional money for vaccines must be included in the presentation. Now, and again, August 2011, I'll say it again, August 2011, they are setting this whole thing up. It's all being made ready. Yeah, we can keep going, but I guess it's this journalist here, he's done an excellent job of compiling the evidence of what they are doing here. He is writing about the Pandemic Preparedness Network, Gates, Epstein, and the International Peace Institute. Isn't it funny how the International Peace Institute is linked into this? Why was Trump Trump now partly demented? Why was he so annoyed that he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize? It's all linked. So the same names appear all over the place. You have the Norwegian Terje Rød-Larsen, a deeply corrupt diplomat. He's in this club as well. Yeah. And then we have the May 2015 Geneva Pandemic Preparedness Convening, and it all comes together. It all comes together, and then we have the pandemic being declared. And I won't go through the whole article. It's a very long article, but you get the idea. It's high time now that these people, these elites, are removed from any positions of power. Um, how do we do that? I do not know. But do not vote for these people ever again. Uh, Boycott any movie that features a celebrity movie star that was on the Epstein Island, or in his mansion. In Norway now, a lot of people want to get rid of the monarchy because the crown princess seems to have been a mistress of Epstein. That's what everyone's thinking, but they won't say that out. But and and how on earth can anyone trust any of these global institutions ever again? Because they are deeply corrupt. It's so obvious. And this goes, when you start digging, it goes on for years. They started, we don't know when they started, but you know, it's long before the pandemic or the COVID crisis. I don't like to call it a pandemic, by the way. But before the COVID crisis, it was all the structure was already there. And it took years for them to set it up. But when they had set it up, everything was ready. Then they declared a pandemic. You know, and I've had it with not talking about this, and I don't fucking care if they remove my whole channel here. I will just say that when it comes to the COVID vaccines, because there were a few different variations there. I'm not a medical doctor, but I've had medical doctors tell me that this should never have been a medication for everyone. It, I've had people with a solid medical background telling me that this was meant as something for people in high risk groups. And even that, now that we know all of this, I'm skeptical about. But of course, we all see now that this was never about keeping you healthy. It was always about making more money. That's their goal. Bill Gates doesn't care about your health. He cares about money and power. And these people are probably sociopaths, clinically speaking, sociopaths, probably. And they have so much money that it's, but they want more money, more influence, more of everything. I don't know what's the driving force in their lives, but it's, yeah, it's obvious that this was always about money and power. And now people are dying from cancer, People are dying from all sorts of autoimmune diseases. People who, I mean, and if you did get the vaccine and you are suffering, I am so sorry for you. Um, I hope that it will pass, that you will regain your health if you are struggling. And I'm so angry at these people. As I said, I did not get the vaccine, and my close family did not get the vaccine either. Uh, and we had to go through those years with myself. I'm visible here on YouTube, and a few death threats and all of that, and it did harm my career as a novelist, of course, and as a YouTuber as well. And yeah, but that's nothing. That's nothing. That's I will never complain about that, because those who did get the vaccine and are now suffering from the health consequences from that, paid a much higher price. And I'm reading now in the chat. Yeah, I'm so sorry. So many people have had losses. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure if I should read those comments. I think I won't. It's just too painful. So the article is, as I said, linked to in the video description. It is a long and thorough article. Go there and there. Let's see if there's a. I'm not so familiar with Substack, but I'll see if you can. Yeah, there's a share button there. And I will do that later today, and I will. I hope everyone can do that. It's much more thorough than this live stream, of course. And this, I think they called Epstein a spider, because he spun a spider web, and so many people are connected, and that's how they operate, I guess. And they, now we see that the same people operating in the Nobel Peace Prize, the International Peace Institute, they, like Terje Rød-Larsen, deeply corrupt. He somehow managed to build a luxury mansion on a Mediterranean island. He's a state employee. Now, how do you find money for that? And of course, CEOs in powerful people in the USA, all connected, and many of these people are now also in the Epstein files, as documented on photos, even sitting there, with very young girls, and the faces of the girls are blacked out, with a black square. But you can see from the body that this is someone maybe 14-year-old, disturbing stories are surfacing now about how they used these girls. And I don't want to get into details, because I I'll tell you one story that you may have heard. Like, it, it's one girl who was I she left a diary. It's in the files, and she had written it very artistically. I think upside down, and like some people can write as if you look at a mirror, right? And probably that's why it was not redacted. And she tells a story about how she was used by Epstein and Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell. She got pregnant several times. The babies vanished. It's so painful and heartbreaking to read. It's just you want to look away and not read it, but it's there, and there are several such stories that are now surfacing. And the most heartbreaking thing I think is that she was surfacing, no, she was suffering from something apparently called mosaic Downs syndrome, which apparently is when you have um, the mind of a child, but the body, they don't have the physical appearance of someone with Down syndrome. So that's why she writes in the language of someone, maybe a 12-year-old girl. She's still alive. She's still alive, actually, and it's so heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking. And so these people are very bad people. They should not be allowed to walk around like free men, free women. Why are they not in jail? Why are not these people being investigated now? Why? I guess we all know the answer, because they have dirt on the people that make those decisions. It must be something like that, because the evidence is out there. I guess the president of the USA can't be charged with anything, but and I think also he's a person he lies in such a way that he believes it himself. What's it, Jesus Flame? What's your point? They literally worked for him into their mid-40s. What's your point? Yeah. So, Kat says, I hope we do not let them get away with it. Yeah. And you have a story that's in this context. It's almost funny how Bill Gates, he apparently asked Jeffrey Epstein to provide him with a sort of antibiotics that he could slip his wife Melinda Gates, isn't that what her name, before they divorced, because he had contracted disease from some Russian girls, and he didn't want to tell his wife, but he had apparently then made her sick as well. So he wanted to slip her some pills, antibiotics. I don't know what that treats, but antibiotics, they treat infections, I guess. So there must have been a sexually transferable disease that give people infections. So someone, a doctor would know what kind of disease that is. I have no idea. But that's like almost funny in this context because it's all so crazy. Um, they have better meds. I don't know. I don't know. Um, he could have gotten it himself, but I honestly don't know how that works. Antibiotics require a specific course, not one pill. Uh, yeah, I I don't know how that works. I think I had um, I had an infection once many years ago, a kidney kidney infection. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, I got yeah, I think that so several pills, but I and maybe he would slip her several pills. I honestly don't know. Um, yeah. We do we have any? We don't. So listen, we don't call other people idiots here. Okay. So you're in timeout now. Okay. No, actually, yeah, I agree. Um, hide user. Yeah. So he's gone. Yeah. So this is the main takeaway here, that they were planning to and also succeeded in monetizing what the World Health Organization called a pandemic. Um, and now we can discuss if it was a pandemic or not, but the fact that they it doesn't really matter in this context. The fact that the main motivating force here was money should make people worried, because that it's not your health that is the main motivating factor here. It is making as much money as possible. Um, so, yeah. And this is something that you will probably never see in mainstream media. Hope I'm wrong on that one, but that's because the narrative concerning COVID must not be broken. They need to keep the same narrative. And there are also a lot of people out there who, big fans of the vaccine thing, and they don't like the truth. They do not like people who talk about who are bringing the truth out there either. They would rather stick to the lie and believe in the lie than looking at the facts. Um, and it is funny how, and I will admit it, this, when people, the Pizzagate, the whole idea that these people were doing unspeakable things with children, I did not believe that to be true. I did not believe that. Um, but I was wrong. And here's the thing, I'm not concerned with being right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And then I get wiser if I see facts that contradict what I thought. I will change my opinion. And then that's how we learn, that's how we get wiser. And I did not think that. I thought the Pizzagate thing, I thought that was just crazy. That's just a conspiracy theory. It appears that it's not. We all wish it was. Um, just I Now I don't know exactly what Pizzagate, what that meant actually, but the fact is that these people, politicians, celebrities, CEOs, and big companies, they are in part. A lot of them seem to be part of a system where they are using children, and children, in my mind, anyone under 16 is a child. And I will also say that if you're a grown man and you have sex with a girl under 18, you're a creep and you should be punished for that. That is my opinion. I think that's legal I don't know, in some countries at least, but that's my opinion. But these girls were, many of them were just kids, children. So yeah, Pizzagate was about that, and we now see that that happened, and it's probably still happening because these people think that they are above the law. And you see these photos with of Bill Gates, standing there with, he looks like an old dad that never did any physical exercise in his life, with his man boobs, and it's like, we can say that he's not an attractive man. I think that's objectively true. And I don't think that he's the most charming person on the planet. Also, he was married. Um, and he's standing there in these photos, he's with these girls that look much, much younger. You can't really tell because the face, of course, is blacked out. Uh, but it's obvious that it's they are prostitutes. I mean, or I should say, it's more correct to say they were made prostitutes. I don't think they wanted that. They were lured into the system and they couldn't get out. Probably this whole thing involved narcotics and things like that as well. And yeah, these are demons, these are devils, these are very, very bad people, and they should never be forgiven. They should never be listened to. They only deserve to rot in jail. Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, um, yeah, the list goes on and on, of course. And if there are still people out there who think that Trump is innocent here, or that he didn't do anything wrong here, that he was not part of this, I mean, wake up, please. Just wake up. It's okay to have been wrong about people. That's okay. That's happened to us all. But you really need to wake up. Uh, Bill Gates, um, Clinton, and Trump, they're like appearing throughout the years all over the place here. So wake up. Just wake up. Ryan Dawson, X and YouTube, has been covering Epstein for years. Finally was unbanned. That's great. Yeah, Noam Chomsky, that's funny, isn't it? Yeah, the leftist philosopher speaking the truth to people in power. He was part of the club too. Now he's so old now, he's almost dead, but again, they should never be listened to. They should never be forgiven. Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, yeah, no surprise there, of course. Yeah, Whitney Webb is also a voice that is worth listening to. Absolutely. Um, and that I think what must be understood here is that these people are not like us. And as I've said before, we're all human. We make mistakes. And things happen, but we operate within a framework of this I might do. In within the framework is like, here are some good things I do, and there are also some not so good things that I might do if I'm very tempted, right? Because I'm human. I don't want to, but it's like I'm human. I might make mistakes. Outside of the frame are the things that you would never do, like murder. well, I mean, I guess if your family is threatened by a burglar and all that, that's not talking about that. But uh, um, dealing with drugs and crazy stuff and being very mean to people just for the sake of being mean. I mean, that's outside of the framework for normal people. And here's what's important to understand: these people operate outside of the framework, so we cannot expect ever that they will do what a normal person would do in a given situation. So, yeah. Um yeah, no, Nick Fuentes, I wouldn't ever listen to Nick Fuentes. Yeah, he is just a troll. Uh, yeah, now it doesn't matter where people stand politically. We can discuss politics and how to organize society and culture and so on all day long. But this is not about that. This is about, again, this is outside of that framework for what is normal, you know. Um, yeah, hold on. uh, yeah, I don't, I want to, not that it matters concerning YouTube. I'm already in big trouble here, but I want to make it clear that I'm not against vaccines per se. I mean, I was given vaccines. Well, that was in the 70s, early 80s. So that was like some people just passed out because they don't give them those vaccines anymore. But it's not like I'm against vaccines as a medical procedure, uh, as long as the risk and the benefit is considered. Um, it's like polio was mentioned here. Uh, Now I'm not a medical doctor, but I've, as far as I understand it, it's the vaccines against polio was helped eradicate that horrible disease. So it's not like I'm an anti-vaxxer. I'm just saying the obvious here, which is that when money, well, first of all, you have people like Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein. They are monsters. They're monsters. They're not good people. They are monsters, demons, whatever you want to call them. And they collaborate. They conspire, actually. Yeah, they conspire to monetize um, any illness or event that the World Economic Forum will call a pandemic. They conspire to do that to make money, not to make people healthy or no, to make money. And isn't it obvious that you cannot trust these people and you cannot trust the World Health Organization, because the World Health Organization is in the pocket of Bill Gates. It's one of his arms, so to speak. So that's not about, we can't say that, oh, you're just an anti-vaxxer. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, look at this, they're doing this for the money, and then they don't care if they make people sick or whatever happens to people, because it was never about that. It was just about monetizing something that would give them power over the whole entire globe. So yeah. Yeah, Jeffrey, yeah, anyone can access the Epstein files. It takes a lot of time to go through it, but it's searchable. And the thing is that uh, there are millions of files, and we have just seen the beginning. We have just seen the beginning, and I believe that a lot more will surface. And it's time. If by some miracle this live stream stays up, and someone actually watches and or listens through it to this point here, if you think that what I'm saying here is crazy, I will advise, not that you would listen to my advice, but I will advise that still, that you reconsider things, because your image of the world and how things work is about to be completely shattered. A lot more things will surface, and it is about to tear these people in positions of power, tear them down. It's about time that we get rid of the elites. Now, not in a violent way, I need to add that, but it's time that we do that. They must never be respected, and they must never be listened to. They only deserve ridicule and shame. So, yeah. Okay. There is so much. There is so much here. Links to Israel, links everywhere. And Epstein was right in the smack in the middle there, as a spider spinning his web. And yeah, people who are much better at this than I am, they will keep digging, they will keep reading, and more things will be published, probably not in mainstream media, but on alternative media and YouTube channels and so on, and in the coming days. I will advise everyone to be skeptical and go to the source, because when people start talking about lizard people and then it's not every claim is true. So you need to have some proof, and you need to have some apply some skepticism here. Okay. Yeah. So okay. Okay. I'll leave it at that. And if you have time, read the article linked to in the video description. Yeah, we'll talk again soon. Hopefully, if my channel stays up.